but also out of this tradition came this extraordinary insight, which I have left the best till last, is page 230 in J. Hewat McKenzie says there's a heaven in the sky above us, just like rumors of old, and their life is just as real as our life. They walk, they talk, they stand, and they sit. And it's just a nifty old book, right? But the funny thing is, he includes actual measurements in miles. You know, J. Hewat McKenzie is writing in English, and he's talking about miles above the surface of the earth. And he breaks up this spirit land, or what he calls the spirit spheres, into two sections. He says there's a first heaven and there's a second heaven. Okay, so according to this map in this book published in 1917, J. Hewat McKenzie says above Earth there's an atmosphere, and then 300 miles above the atmosphere there begins what he calls the first heaven, and then that heaven is divided into three sections, and then there's another gap, and then there's a second heaven, which is much larger. And he includes miles in this description. So his description of the spirit lands is one kind of everyday living, like you still live in a house and you still have things to do and you still wear clothes. So it's pretty everyday, except it's like you live after life, first of all, and there's all kinds of beautiful, wonderful things, and there's always room to move up. And as you get higher, it gets better. And he's talking actually higher in miles above Earth, right? Now, 40 years later, 40 years after the second edition of this book came out, James Van Allen discovers the Van Allen belts. And in the published material about these belts, commonly accessible is the fact that it's divided into two sections, an inner Van Allen belt and an outer Van Allen belt. And curiously, or at least curiously, maybe even miraculously, the Van Allen belt, which is this trapped energy in the magnetosphere, trapped radiation, the Van Allen belt, discovered in 1958, has the precise dimensions, not only the dimensions in miles, but the structure of an inner belt and an outer belt was described 40 years previous in a spiritualist text.